Hello and welcome back. So, in today's video, we're going to take a look at another one of Harley Benton's kit guitars. And the reason why is because I bought two, and the reason why I'm doing an unboxing of both of the kits is simply because maybe the first one I got was a really good one, maybe this one is a really bad one. You never really know until you look at more than one. Sometimes you'll be lucky and sometimes you won't be. So I was thinking, since I bought two, because I have two funny experiments coming up, one with a Telecaster and one with this one that is a Stratocaster. I know it says ST, but I mean, come on, we all know it's a Stratocaster. So, without any further whatevers, let's just open this one up and see what you get. And I'll talk a little bit about the wood, because I feel like with these kits, the wood is the real reason why you buy this. You want a neck and you want a body. So let's open this up and just see what happens. So in the last one I didn't film the entire box, which looked a little bit wonky when I looked back on it. So hopefully in this one you can see the entire box. And so first we have to flip it over. And there is some tape here that we have to cut, just like on the other one. Now, the other box was really well packaged, and so I'm hoping that this one will be just as well packaged. We'll take a look and see. Here you have the instructions. It comes with it, German and English, just like before. You don't really need those instructions. These kits are very simple to understand. So, let's start off with this long package here. In this box is the neck, which to most of you probably is obvious. And if it's not, that's okay. And so here we have it, and from what I can tell, it looks basically exactly the same as the last one. The wood was a lot nicer on the Telecaster. The maple looks nice. I don't see any weird lines in it or anything like that at first glance. I can see from the grain direction in the wood, which I don't know if you will be able to see, that this piece is a little bit slanted to the side, like this. So this neck might, if it gets if moisture gets introduced into it, it might bend a little that way, if that makes any sense. Because this side will pull this side. So, something like that. But just because the wood is shaped like that doesn't mean that that needs to happen. It's just something that could happen. The neck is also a little bit more yellowish, which I don't know. In the camera it looks very white, but it is definitely more yellow than the other neck. I have a little bit more, I don't know if you can see in the neck, if you can see like the scratches and stuff like that, but it has some scratches in the finish on the back here that I didn't saw on the other neck. This fretboard is really rough and really dry, and so it's definitely not on the same level as the other one, but it looks more like Purple Heart than the other neck. I can't really show you the other neck right now because I'm painting it right now, but the other neck, if you go back and look at the other video, had a more almost fake wood appeal to it. This actually looks like it might be real Purple Heart, like it says on the website. It also feels more like real wood. The other one, you couldn't really feel the grain or anything in it. It felt synthetic. But here we have something that feels more like real wood. It does, however, have some weird marks here. I doubt that you're going to be able to see right here between the frets. Are you able to see that? I don't know. It almost looks like the wood has been broken, like someone snapped the fretboard in half and stuck it back together and pretended that it was okay. I don't think that's happened. It just the markings here look really weird. So I'm gonna have to take a closer look at that later. So if you are curious about it, write me a comment, because by the time this video goes live, I will have had the time to take a closer look. I am, however, gonna immediately put some oil on this, because this is so dry that I'm actually afraid of leaving it out in the open. I doubt that you can see how dry it is, but yeah. And because it looked so incredibly dry, I'm just gonna like put on a real thick slabber here, and I'm gonna leave the neck to the side. I really think this looks nicer. I don't know if you can see up by the first fret. It's really purple there, which is really nice. So I actually think that we got Purple Heart on this one. I still don't think the first one was Purple Heart. Yeah, I hope it will soak up, that will solve everything. And I might go back and apply more, because I think that thick amount of oil I just put on it, I think it will all just soak up. Okay, so I would say that neck was an okay neck. Not something to get super excited about, but not something that we can't work with and make something awesome with. A little bit rough around the edges, let's call it that. Okay, let's open the next box. Okay, I'll put it back to the side here. Okay, so this box is all the hardware. But here we have, let's put this to the side. So here we have the pickguard and all its parts. Okay, so here we have 3 pickups, standard Stratocaster configuration. Magnets are white on one side because they are the opposite direction than this mic in the middle. So these are, let's say, north and this is south. It doesn't really matter that much. It's for hum cancellation. These two could be the north or the south, and this would just be the opposite of whatever. The cables are pulled together into the middle here and wrapped around each other. Looking at this electronic wise, I would say that it looks like everything is done correctly. All the ground wires goes together, the leads go to the switch that goes to the output jack that leads back to these wires here, which we'll talk about in a second. You have the tone pots that are grounded back together with all the other grounds at the volume, and then they have individual that goes to the switch up here, which you maybe can't see up here. And if you wanted to, because most likely it's a tone for the neck and a tone for the middle, but if you wanted to, you could take one of these and move it over one lug. It's hard maybe to see, but there are between the red wire here and the yellow wire here, there are 3 legs, and one of the legs is not used, and that's because that's the leg that would connect to the bridge pickup. So for example, could remove one of these wires here, the yellow one or the white one, and that would mean that one of the pickups didn't have a tone. Or you could move one over there if you wanted a tone pot on your bridge pickup. I know that there are some who wants that. So that's a super easy thing you could do, is move one of the wires over there. It's a little bit messy, this, and when we go to put this kit together, I'm gonna redo the wiring for the pickups especially, because I don't like the way this looks. It looks messy, and this way is gonna make it hum a lot more. If you look at the video I did about the Telecaster, there was a lot of hum in that guitar, and one of the reasons is that there is a bunch of extra wires that don't need to be there. You should have the wires as short as possible, but you shouldn't have them pulled tight. It also comes with one of these plugs, and you don't really need them. Like, learning to solder is not difficult enough to excuse this sort of thing. These sort of connections are usually kind of sloppy, they introduce noise, and they can introduce like glitching, which is basically just like, you know, the signal gets broken, silence, you strum, you don't know what's happening, you have to shake the guitar, you know. This ground wire here doesn't have a connection to clip into, and it's most likely because this is the one going to the ground, which is the claw on the backside in the tremolo cavity. And so yeah, there's nothing real special about this. Here is the front. The knobs are just like on the other one, a little bit too easy to move. I feel they are a little bit nicer, I would say. There's a little bit more resistance. The other one felt very flimsy, you could almost spin them, but these, they stop. The switch is, I think I felt the switch on the other guitar, on the Telecaster kit, was better, because it had more of a resistance. You kind of want a switch that you can flick pretty easy so that you don't have to fight with it, but you also don't want to accidentally bump into it and it's just, you know, moving around like nothing. So a little bit of resistance, and I just like the resistance in the other guitar more than this one. But except for, you know, this whole ratness here, I think that this could turn out nice. Pots are nothing special, they're these tiny little pots. And this is, again, like I said in the last video, probably what you're gonna replace if you build one of these kits. Most likely you're either gonna build a guitar with this kit, with this electronics in it, just to see what happens and then replace it, or you're just gonna replace them immediately. The plastic on this cover looks very cheap. It's not the same as the Pickguard. I don't know if you can see it, but it's not smooth. It has like almost like orange peel. I feel it feels kind of, I think I could, I mean obviously I can break this, but it feels like it might actually, yeah, no good quality there. And here are some screws and things like that. I'm not gonna open this one up because then I'll just lose a bunch of screws everywhere. We'll take one of these ones out. They are a lot smaller than usual springs. They're maybe a little bit stiffer too. Tremolo arm and the cable, Allen wrench, you know, all that. An empty bag with nothing in it. This part here, which is where you plug in the guitar to the amp, is very light. I don't think I've ever picked up one of these and they felt so light in my hand. It's almost like, I think I can break this in my hand, actually. I feel like I can just, I'm not gonna do it because we're gonna build this guitar, but I feel it flexing in my hands. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure right now at all. I'm barely doing anything. And so, let's just say that it's okay for a beginner guitar. Here's the tremolo. Let's take it out of its bag, and why does it have these holes here? Again, it's super light, and it has a very rough edge here. I actually think, just feeling this with my finger right now, you could use this as a file. You know, it's like if I took a piece of wood and I just, I don't know if you can see that, but the wood had a sharp edge like this. This piece of wood has, and I can just file it down on the bridge. So yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. That's kind of ridiculous. And I'm not saying that, you know, it is what it is, I suppose. But if you spend a lot of time painting the body and making it look perfect and nice, and then you put this on, it could actually really mess up the finish. And depending on what kind of finish you have, like if you have some sort of lacquer, it might break the lacquer around the screw hole so much that it, you know, breaks out in all directions, and all of a sudden, you know, the lacquer under the pickguard is breaking, and then around the screws, and then on the around the area. And yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna think about it, but I might actually take and sand this smooth, because I can actually I can use this as a file. Like this entire edge here. I don't know if I can show you. The edge is a file. I've never seen that before. That's crazy. And this block, like, it's so thin, and it has, like, I don't know, speed holes in it. Again, it's the same thing with this bridge as the last bridge. The bridge is the weak point. I would actually probably say, like, and we're gonna talk about it when we build this guitar, because I have something special for this one. But I just immediately now feel like the first thing on this kit that you should switch out is not the pickups. I get that people want like a nicer sound and less hum and things like that, but the bridge is really messed up on both of these. You get some strings. I know that people are like, why would you want these crappy strings? But if you're building the guitar and you're gonna do a setup and you're gonna like fine tune it and make it play perfect, you need a couple of sacrificial strings basically. So nice that you get that. Here's the plate. Let's just, for the fun, take it out and see what it is we get. So it's very nice, shiny mirror-like. It has some heft to it, so it's not as, you know, poor quality as the rest. So this one, I would say you could keep this one. You don't have to switch it out, unless you're doing something like switching everything out for gold or something like that. But if you're keeping chrome, you might as well keep this one. I'm just taking one tuner out. It's the same standard tuners as the other one. I never talked much about the tuners in the other video. They are very standard. The issue I had with the tuners on the other one was that some of them were really hard to turn and some were extremely easy to turn. So it gave you the illusion that the strings were tight, like super tight and would break. But actually it was just the tuner that was hard to turn. But yeah, like basic looking tuners, nothing real special to say about them, but they're probably okay. You know, if you're spending a lot of money building one of these kits and you're buying like, I don't know, really expensive bare knuckle pickups or something, and you're buying like a vintage Strat reissue Tremolo for like, I don't know, let's say 200 euros, then you're probably gonna want to switch these out, because yeah, we'll just take one more out and just feel it. Yeah, there isn't that big of a difference between these two. Yeah, all these three ones that I took out were different. Not extreme amount, but still so that I notice it immediately. Just look at this neck, it's already soaked up almost all of it. And it's only been like 5 minutes or something. So I'm gonna have to put on some more. Okay, so the last part is this package. Now in this package, you'll find the body. So let's open it up and take a look. And it comes bubble wrapped. Again, I think that's really nice of them to do that, because you really don't want anything to, you know, fall around inside the package and ding itself up against something else. So I like this. And here we have the body. And at first glance it looks okay. It has a little duller color than the other body, but it looks like it's the same wood, but it's a little lighter in color. The other one was a little bit more reddish and darker. And again, we have some like tiny bit of I don't know what you want to call this. It's like almost like hair. And it's basically just because the router is a little bit dull. You'll get these little marks when you route with something that is a little bit dull. It doesn't affect anything. It will be hidden by the pickguard and things like that. So if you see this in your kit, don't worry about it, basically. Some of these holes here are a little bit wonky. They are not straight here. I don't know if you can see it, but they are not straight if you use the Tremolo cavity here. You'd see that the spacing is off. So most likely, just like with the other kit, what you really need to do is plug all of these screw holes up and measure them out again with the parts and re-drill them. I don't think you need to do this with the holes on the back for the neck, but you might have to. We'll take a closer look at that in a minute. But first, the body feels very nice and smooth. I won't have to sand this or anything like that because it's already nice. I see now when I take a little closer look and feel it that I do actually have some dings in the body. So something has happened maybe during shipping. That's unfortunate. Yeah, but it doesn't matter for me because I'm gonna do something that involves relicking. So yes, if that means a lot to you, you can do something like, for example, put a towel on that is a wet towel and then use an iron and just use the steam to hopefully make the little ding go out. I don't even know if you can see this ding. There's a little ding there. It's very tiny. You can I don't know if you can see it on the camera. You can feel it with your finger and you can see it. Let's take a look at the back. Again, in the cavity you have the same thing there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's basically they need to sharpen their router blades. The router are just basically mushing the wood instead of cutting it. But yeah, I can sand this and make it nice because we're not going to put that cheap crappy plate on it. The body feels nice and smooth. I don't feel any dings or anything. It's not as well sanded over here as it is everywhere else, which is a little bit weird. It's like, I don't know if you can almost see if you look at the edge of the body. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it's not as smooth down here as it is here or yeah, anywhere else. These holes are also a little bit rough. The wood is sticking up. The drill has been pulled out, so the wood is poking up like this. Most likely, I would say that you would have to plug these holes and re-drill them because I had a lot of issues with the other kit, and so yeah. Now I'm just gonna see if the neck fits and how well it does so. The neck fits really good inside the cavity. I'm gonna see if I can show you. It fits really well. There are no real gaps in between, like a little bit like paper thickness all the way around. But considering the price of this kit and what you get, I would say that that's okay. The holes seems to line up, so I don't think you have to re-drill them. Yes, so I would say that it seems like the holes for the pickguard and the bridge is where the main issues are, and so you'll probably have to plug them up. But that's not a big deal, it's not hard to do. You can take like a bamboo skew, the kind you use for your barbecues. You can put some wood glue on and just stick them in and cut them to size. It will take you a couple of minutes to do, and you'll have to wait for it to dry. But I mean, it will be a good practice to learn some woodworking to have to do that. So here's the neck again, and I think it's an okay neck. If you want a guitar to put on the same like price level, I would say that this is sort of the same level as a Squire Bulletin or the most inexpensive Harley Bentons. The kit is about the price of one of those, so I would say that depending on what you want to do, if you want to do a custom paint job with some crazy color that doesn't exist, you know, depending on that, choose either to buy a Harley Benton or to buy this kit. Here is the body. I would say that I like this body. It looks like a decent guitar. It feels a little bit small, so I wonder if it's a little bit tinier than an actual Stratocaster, a Fender Stratocaster or a Squire. You're gonna be able to build a nice guitar out of this. Again, all the woodworking of building guitars already been made for you, which I mean is kind of obvious because I mean you get the body and the neck already made. So you're not really building a guitar, you're more assembling it. But if that's, you know, what you want to do, then I mean maybe this is a kit for you. It sort of depends on what your goal is. But I wouldn't say that you'll learn how to build a guitar. You'll most likely learn how to set up a guitar. Now maybe that could be a good way of starting out. I personally think that just diving into the deep end and just building a guitar and just taking it slowly is more rewarding most likely. But then again, I don't know. I've been thinking of maybe making a video talking about how I would actually go about starting out learning how to build guitars, going from zero skill to building an actual guitar. Leave a comment below telling me if that's something that you would find interesting, and I'll make that video. But I would say that this is a nice kit. I don't see anything that is like horribly wrong with it or anything like that, so I think you could go ahead with it. I think that if you have a child that wants to learn how to play guitar, and you think spending a weekend together, bonding over building a guitar together, I think this would be amazing. I think this would be so much fun, and I think it would really be like a catapult for your child to get excited about playing guitar. Anyone out there that is watching this and has a child that they want to, you know, like maybe not force into playing the guitar, but, you know, nudge in the right direction, I would strongly suggest this because it's gonna be easy. Painting a body with spray cans is something that I feel like a kid in the 10 to 9-year-old age could do. So if your kids are really young, I feel like you could do this together. Just remember, you put the color on and then you clear coat it, and then you wait a couple of hours and you clear coat it again, and you wait a couple of hours and you clear coat it again, and then you wait the next day and you do the same thing 3 times. And you know, and then you leave it to dry for a week or so, and then next weekend you sand it and buff it, and you don't have to go overboard. You can keep it easy and fun. I think this would be great for a kid. There are other kits that maybe we'll take a look on later down the line if people are interested in these videos, that I feel like are more challenging and more for people that want to actually learn how to make guitars. This kit is probably a great kit and a lot of fun, but I feel like it's more for having a fun weekend. I could definitely see myself together with a mate just buying these kits and having fun, you know, building them together, you know, having a beer or two, spray painting, doing some weird, ugly, messy artwork, and just going stupid basically on it. If you enjoyed this video and you thought that this was helpful or fun or interesting in some way, I would appreciate if you give me a thumbs up. That lets me know that this was worthwhile. And if you wouldn't mind subscribing, I would really appreciate it. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I would appreciate if you did. And until next time, stay awesome and cool and go and build something. Maybe a kit guitar.